We're going to break down the absolute worst case scenario and see what that would mean to our local market here in Southern Oregon. So get ready. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Brian Simmons here with eXp Realty. It is May 4th, Star Wars Day. Some people would say, May the 4th be with you. That's not my thing, but it's all good. I just want to remind you real quick to please like, subscribe, or share this page with your friends. There's a link right down here in the bottom. You can do all that. Thank you guys for watching. Let's dive right into the data because we had an absolutely monster week last week. It was crazy. 848 active single-family residential listings between Jackson and Josephine County on the market this morning, okay? 193 new listings hit the market last week. That is the most we have seen since I've been tracking the numbers, which is all of this year, that's all of last year. And coincidentally, the same week last year was also the highest number that we had seen that year. Okay, so the week of May 5th, in this case, Cinco de Mayo, was the highest new listing number we saw all of last year. It was 185. We were 193 this week, which is crazy. So moving on, 119 price changes, 40 back on the market, 141 went pending, and 125 went closed. 40 either expired, withdrawn, or canceled. And that brings us to about 6.78 weeks worth of inventory if you look at just a snapshot of that week. So wow, crazy. So even though we had a record number of new listings, our weeks of inventory was actually less than it was the week before. So we went from 7.24 last week to 6.78 weeks worth of inventory this week. So, and that's primarily because we had actually a really strong number of closings, and that was well above our 6-week average. Pendings was strong too, and that was just a little bit above our 6-week average. So, great activity on the pending and the closing side, but just a boatload of new listings hit the market. So that was definitely unexpected, although maybe I should have expected it, seeming that it was the same week last year that had the highest number ever. So anyways, now let's turn to this worst case scenario conversation, okay? I'm going to read you real quick what Lawrence Yun, the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, I'm going to read you what he had to say recently, which was that home sales will come down 2 to 4% in 2022. Okay, if inflation remains stubbornly high and the Fed is forced to be even more aggressive, then home sales could fall by as much as 10%. Okay, so let's run with that scenario as the worst case scenario of what would happen in our market if sales fell by 10%. One point I want to make sure that's very, very clear is that we're talking about home sales. We're not talking about home values, okay? So this isn't the price of your home dropping by 10%. This is just a 10% reduction in the volume of homes that are being sold on a weekly or monthly basis, whatever you want to call it. So in the worst case scenario, it would be a 10% drop in home sales and no drop in new listings, okay? And let me say this real quick. If home sales drop, it would be likely, in my opinion, that the number of new listings would also drop too. And that would basically be because buyers, as the buyer demand slows, there would be a lot of sellers who would be like less enticed to list their homes. Okay. And so again, like this is really projecting a unlikely scenario of a big drop, a 10% drop in sales with no coinciding drop at all in listings. Okay. So sales drop, listings stay the same. That's what we're talking about here, which is again, very unlikely to happen in my opinion. All right. And so what my calculation says is that if nothing changed at all, if we just continued on the trajectory that we are right now today, we would be at about 1,100 homes on the market by the end of this year. That's my projection, okay? So then we apply the worst case of a 10% reduction in sales along with continued sustained, number of listings that we've been seeing. So that would put us at about 1,600 homes on the market, and we will have sold about 4,800 for the year, okay? That 1,600 homes on the market is about 3 months worth of inventory. All right. And remember, we've talked about this a lot of times in past videos that a stable or a neutral market, you could say, that does not favor a buyer or a seller. So it's not a buyer's market, not a seller's market. A neutral market is one where there's approximately 6 months worth of inventory. So in our worst case scenario, in other words, a 10% reduction in sales will lead to us having half the amount of inventory we would need to have a neutral market by the end of the year. Okay, so if that's sustained for even more time, then maybe we start to chip away and we actually get closer to that neutral market. But worst case scenario by the end of the year with this math, if we applied it, is basically that we're halfway to a neutral market, right? So I want to just explain that to put this all into perspective, because I know people are thinking like, well, what if things slow down, and what's it going to do to their market? Honestly, like, I don't know about you, but to me, that's not a bad scenario. Like, that's a worst case scenario that I could live with. If we ended up with just, halfway to a neutral market, demand is still outpaces supply substantially. All right. So that's my 2 cents. You could check my math on it if you want to, but that's what I came up with. We'd be looking at about 1,600 homes in the market, and I'm saying that's not a terrible scenario. So worst case isn't all that bad. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this channel with your friends. And we got a quick special send-off from a special guest for you, so we'll cut to that right now.
Thank you for watching.
And there you have it. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next week. Take care.